Pre-flight 101, the course that will give you wings. 2. Background and history of the Cessna 172. 2.1 Cessna, the beginning of an iconic airplane manufacturer. I'm going to fly this thing, then I'm gonna set it afire and never have another thing to do with airplanes. Hello, this is Jose again, and these were Clyde Cessna's words after a failed attempt to make his airplane fly in a summer evening in 1911. That was a long time ago. Little did Clyde know when those words came out of his mouth that Cessna would become the most iconic and historically successful brand of general aviation aircraft in the world. Even today, more than 100 years after that day, this aircraft is the most sold aircraft out there. Clyde flew for the first time in his aircraft in June 1911 between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains. His aircraft were made out of fabric and wood, following the trend of the aircraft of that age. After his aircraft venture stopped dragging the attention of bankers and investors in the region of Enid, Oklahoma, he decided to move to Wichita, looking for further adventures. Cessna produced aircraft for 18 beautiful years until they released the Cessna DC-6. Was it a bad plane? No. But did the plane unfortunately crash? Negative as well. It wasn't the plane who crashed, but the market. The fate of the DC-6 and Cessna were doomed after the aircraft were released in 1929, exactly the same morning of the financial crash, forcing the company to close its doors in 1932. Cessna came back around as a company again in 1933 with the Cessna CR3 breaking a speed record in 1933. Can you guess the speed? They flew at 381 kilometers an hour. For that age, that kind of airplane, that was absolutely amazing. In 1934, however, Clyde, older and more tired, sells the beaten down company to his nephews, who renew it and reopened it. They reopened the company just in time. Just in time? You may ask, just in time for what? Well, Cessna took part in the World War II as the US Air Force placed the biggest order in history for the time being, demanding 33 militarized T-50s. After that, the Royal Canadian Air Force placed an order for 180 units of the same aircraft in 1940. Did you know that daredevils crashed aircraft on purpose in the decade of the 30s in order to draw the attention of the public? Tired of not getting the attention of the public with the traditional air show due to the economic crisis, daredevils like Bowser Frakes bought dismantled aircraft for little money, fixed them, and just to fly once, and used to fly them instructors or even into the ground. Yes, of course, with him inside them as a pilot. Do you think you'd do this for $3,000? Well, maybe if it was 1930 you would. I really suggest you go check out these videos on the internet. You can find them under the name of barnstorming, like barn storm, crashing into barns, or under the name of Bowser Frakes. He was the most famous daredevil of the time. Really a huge fan of this guy. So yeah, go check him out. A lot of content in the internet and in libraries about these guys. Absolutely amazing, and yeah, it's just interesting that this happened because of the financial crisis. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. As the war was over, Cessna placed its bet in a new concept, the all-metallic fuselage aircraft that you can see in the screen, producing the Model 140, which came up to be a complete success, setting the foundations for the global success the company is nowadays. As a review, Cessna started in 1911 after they had to close due to the financial crisis in 1929. Clyde sold his company to his nephews in 1933. In the Second World War, Cessna became a really important aircraft manufacturer, getting big orders placed by the Canadian and American government, right? The American Air Force. After the Model 140, that it was Cessna's most successful plane, as we will see in the next section. The structure has basically remained unchanged for decades. Yes, we talked about how Cessna was founded, how the planes evolved and changed, and how the company went through trouble, went through hell to become the company that it is nowadays. In the next lesson, we're gonna take a look at how these small aircraft turned into the global success that we are seeing nowadays. We're gonna talk about the mama plane, the Cessna 172. Stay tuned.